Welcome back, Tribe. I have a ridiculous article here that says schools to give boys anti-misogyny lessons to stop toxic masculinity in wake of a Netflix hit Adolescence. A Netflix show is causing these people to freak out. This is the state of society. I'll read it for you guys right here. Schools are set to give students anti-misogyny lessons in the wake of Netflix hit TV show about a teen boy who murders a female classmate. The classes form part of the government's new, this is in the UK, I believe, health and sex education guidance, which will be introduced before the end of the academic year. Look how quick they're moving on this, but not their open borders and people getting stabbed to death by third worlders. It comes after Sir Keir Starmer, the traitor, revealed at Prime Minister's Questions on Wednesday that he was watching the miniseries with his two teenagers and that he backs the show creators' calls for it to be shown in Parliament and schools. Let's arrest people for mean tweets, though. Totally. Freedom of speech out the window. Third worlders ruining your country and turning it into a shit show? No, not a problem whatsoever. The 4-episode program follows the Miller family, whose lives are torn apart when their 13-year-old son, Jamie, is arrested for stabbing a female classmate to death after being influenced by online misogyny. Is this I can't confirm this because I haven't, this is literally reading this live with you guys. This is the show where the actual kid here wasn't white, right? Or Netflix did the thing where they swapped it. I was actually a black kid. Okay. You know how Netflix likes to make everything white, black, and everything black, white. Oh, man. The drama released 10 days ago was the most watched show on Netflix worldwide last weekend. Okay. It says it's sobering portrayal of how social media and misogynistic influencers can impact young boys. But the misandry online, they don't talk about. But how women are even more susceptible to social media, have even more mental issues because of social media, they don't talk about. It's only the boys, of course. And through Labor's classroom guidance is still being developed, it is understood to include content to support healthy relationships, to enable schools to tackle harmful behavior and ensure that misogyny, that's what they're worried about. Not third worlders grooming your girls and turning them into whores on the streets. Totally not that, though. It's stamped out and not allowed to proliferate, right? Grooming underage children. Totally. But the police will not report on that. The police will not actually investigate that, The nation, or I should say mainstream media of the UK, will not report on the grooming gangs. Car drives into 25 people in Germany and kills them. Car does that, not the person who was driving. Totally not important. From as early as primary school, children will be encouraged to express and understand boundaries, handle disappointment, and pay attention to the needs and preferences of oneself and others, with content modified for older children to reflect the real-life complexities of romantic and sexual relationships, they added. Wow. The development comes as a win for Netflix show co-creators Jack Thorne and actor Stephen Graham, who stars as the teen boy's father, who have said they wanted adolescents to be a program that causes discussion and makes change. Oh, is that right? Okay. The new guidance will encourage students to think about what healthy sexual relationships involve, including consent, along with kindness, attention, and care. But they don't have any of these programs for women. Isn't that weird? That's so crazy, huh? How this is so hyper-focused on boys. Wow. Topics covered will range from dynamics of power and vulnerability to tools to manage difficult emotions like disappointment and anger that can affect relationships. I have an episode coming out on the second channel about testosterone. That's what you need to do. You need to watch what your test levels are at and how to bounce back from being chemically castrated. That's what I call it in the modern world. The effects of misogynistic online content and adult entertainment on both young people's sexual behavior and their views of relationship norms will also be discussed. Okay. So Axel Ruda Cabana, then 17, stabbed their daughter, known as Child A, more than 30 times during his brutal attack on a Taylor Swift-themed dance class in July last year. He killed 3 young girls and was jailed for life in January. The parents, in a statement read out by their MP during a debate on knife crime in the House of Commons. And by the way, they said influencer Andrew Tate is having terrifying impact on teen boys. So, of course, they're going to blame Andrew Tate and not horrible parenting. And then they'll blame knives. So the UK is already going to ban swords instead of addressing the root problem. So people just go after each other with kitchen knives now. Machetes, are they going to get banned next? Okay. Are blades beyond like 4 inches going to be banned? Jeez, dude. I think this was the guy that they just quoted in the stabbing murders or whatever. And these were the victims. Don't know who this dude is. That is triple murder Kyle Clifford pictured. shot his ex-girlfriend Louise Hunt and her sister Hannah with a crossbow and stabbed their mother Carol, is known to have viewed Tate's videos before making his ferocious attacks. Okay, how are you gonna... That's insane. It's insane how they're blaming a guy who makes videos, often contradicts himself, known to be a clown online, make jokes and not take himself serious, is being held as the sole reason that all of this is happening. How insane is that? And then it says Ruda Cubana cleared most of his online search history before the murders, so it is not known whether he viewed any content associated with Tate. They're reaching so hard. Triple murder, Cloud Clifford, who shot his ex-girlfriend with a crossbow, and stabbed their mother, is known to having viewed Tate videos. Okay, teachers were told in government guidance released last year to look out for signs of misogyny and incel culture in students age 14 and over, which could lead to that kind of abuse, violence, and self-deletion. The education secretary warned teachers to watch out for teen boys who had been indoctrinated by manosphere influencers into hating women. But how come we don't come at the other side the same way for misandrous culture online? Why don't they ask the teachers and have government programs to make sure that women don't hate men, that girls don't hate boys, that they don't grow up saying like the patriarchy is evil, that masculinity is toxic in any form, that there needs to be a new kind of femboy that women don't even find attractive? What do the comments say? Because I'm so curious. They got 300. Fail Britannia. We have been having these difficult conversations since 2016. The DFE can't work quickly enough to meet the needs of our children in this fast-paced digital world we're living in. This program should be used to educate girls on the harm their bullying causes girls. Of course. We need to educate girls better. Toxic femininity is also a problem. How about teaching girls anti-bullying lessons at the same time? These are valid questions, man. Anti-misogyny lessons without ending the brutality of actual misogynists masquerading as women so they can beat them, literally as well as figuratively, at their own sport is meaningless. Nowhere in this article did I find mention of this being a priority. Here's a lesson in misogyny for you. Real women aren't men. Oof, there you go. They do realize that adolescence isn't real. It's a TV program. How about this government address knife crime and adult entertainment instead of PIP and pensioners? Oof. 40% of boys grow up in single mother homes. 80% of educators are women. Misogyny is not the problem. Correct. It's males. They don't take any responsibility, leaving females to try and do both roles. So this is a woman that was responding to the fact that this guy says that we live in a femme-centric society, that men are being forced to raise by women, essentially from the single parent household. And we've discussed this already, all the way from grade school through college. They have mostly female teachers in a femme-dominated environment and in a corporate environment that also rewards women. What about the society we're living in is misogynistic or patriarchal in any way when you take into account things like this? It's insane. Dude, it's gaslighting on a societal level. And I mentioned this on the second channel also, that this male privilege that they think we all have doesn't actually exist. They are the ones that feel like oppression because they live through privilege their entire lives, and any semblance of equality is oppression to them. This is what's happening. We're expecting women to work just as hard as men. We're expecting them to pay bills. We're expecting them to be responsible and accountable for their adult life, and they think that is oppression because they've lived in such a privileged environment that anything resembling equality is terror, is being held down by the system. Patriarchal suppression. Such bullshit, dude. Classic victim blaming. What is actually needed is a muscle on this pernicious sour sisters and their malevolent misandry. There's an epidemic of self-deletion among young men, and it's poisonous inheritance such as those pushing this nonsense who are to blame. There you go. Try these lessons with the Muslim male children. You will have a death threat on your head by the tea time. Jeez. Yeah, it's actually interesting. If we divide these up by ethnic backgrounds and who's causing a lot of these attacks on women, I don't think they would ever dare to go near those. But these are targeted at mostly, they got a white boy acting in this movie for a crime perpetrated by, I think the guy was black or Arab or whatever the fuck. I don't even know. Don't quote me on that, but I know it wasn't a white boy. And this is being targeted at mostly white boys. But then what are the statistics? If you actually look at like sexual assault, if you look at abuse and violence and all that down ethnic lines, they won't though. They won't even report in the media accurately who commits what crime depending on your skin color. Come on, man. It's like plain to see. You don't have to be white. It doesn't matter if you're black. It doesn't matter if you're Arab. If it doesn't, it's like, it's common sense. It's in the media. You see it. You see it all the time. It's blatant. It's in your face. They got two-tier policing in the UK. They even came out and said as much officially, the government, out of their mouth. Prime Minister was like, yeah, two-tier police. We just passed the law that makes it much harder in court. The judges could be much harder on white UK men. What, dude? Come on. Is this the world that we're really living in? The people are saying this shit out loud? And what is the rest of society doing about this? But no, we're talking about misogyny, bro, aimed at kids and calling kids incels. Like, this is what's insane, incel culture. You're a child. Why are they having lessons about this shit? Why are they talking about involuntary celibacy to a kid? He's 13, bro. He's 14 years old. Do they even know what involuntary celibacy even is? My God, we're applying that. That's an adult term for men that are struggling to have sex. They're celibate involuntarily. Women aren't choosing them. Now they're applying it to 13-year-old boys, 10-year-old boys. You're a boy. Look, they're teaching them as early as primary school. Am I the only one that thinks there's something horrendously wrong with this? You're teaching children in primary school about involuntary celibacy and how to treat a woman, as opposed to doing your job of creating a safe society? Godly, dude. And they wonder why men are just done and they're opting out. I know so many Brits have written to me how they moved to Dubai and other parts of the world because this shit show, unfortunately, is going increasingly downhill for them at a rate never seen before. We're watching the fall of the UK live. That's what it feels like. And just saying some of the shit I said, if you were a UK citizen, could get you 100% would get you arrested. Thank God for the First Amendment. Imagine what I just said would be deemed hurtful. Somebody on social media somewhere would have reported me to the UK police. And they would have came if I lived in London somewhere, or whatever fucking other shithole that looks like a third world. They would have came to my house, knocking on my door. Would have had one of those viral videos of showing like 4 or 5 fucking government simps talking about you're going to go have to do 2 years in prison because you hurt so-and-so's feelings, talking about third worlders. Wow. Unbelievable. Oh, well, that's the world we live in today, huh? Anti-misogyny, boys. That's the problem we're having in the world today. Totally. Not the politicians stealing from us, not the government not functioning how it should, not representing the people, completely taken over by special interest, robbing the people blind, wealth inequality soaring, people being destitute, having to make choices between eating or turning on the heating when it's cold. No, none of that. That's not the problem, man. You know, the problem is boys and anti-misogyny lessons because Andrew Tate said some fucking shit on some podcast. That's the problem. Problem's totally not special interests absolutely infiltrating your government and the woke propaganda that they're pushing and no border controls whatsoever, moving in third worlders in your society who do not integrate, create parallel societies of their own next to yours, and you're slowly being taken over, stabbed to death, bro. Cool story. You just banned, what was it? Katanas and swords and shit. Cool story. We'll just stab you with a fucking kitchen knife. Cool. Butcher's knife. It's butchering time over in the UK for the natives. They can't even say shit because if you say shit, you'll get arrested. Unbelievable. That shit's wild, dude. UK is a fucking failed state. But pointing that out makes you a radical fascist. What is it? What else? White supremacist or far right? What other names would they give me? Just give me other names. What else would they call me just for the shit I said that it would be considered common sense? I don't know. They gave us a million names. Embrace your toxic masculinity. Whatever the fuck that means. And whoever defines that. People that hate you. Hate everything about you. Hate that you have something in between your legs. And they want to control you. Like a little slave. Welcome to the new world order. Take care, boys. We'll see you on the next one.